Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here today. This class is called Smart Money, and we are going to take it to the next level for our financial literacy courses. We've had budgeting basics, and what did we do last time? Sorry about that. Money in and money out. So we'll be doing those classes again, so watch out for those. So before we get started, I wanted to say something important. This is a non-judgment zone. There's no judgment here. Money is stressful for a lot of people, especially when prices keep going up, your income stays the same. If you've ever felt behind, overwhelmed, embarrassed, or like you should be better at this, you're not alone. You're not doing anything wrong just because money is tight. So today is not about perfection. It's about taking a few small steps that can make life feel more stable. So here's what we're going to do over the next hour. We're going to go beyond budget basics and focus on three things that make the biggest difference for real life. We're going to talk about building an emergency fund, even if you feel like you don't have extra money. I'm not talking about saving $1,000. I'm talking about building a small buffer, like $250 or $500. So a flat tire or a prescription doesn't turn into new debt. Then we'll talk about paying off debt with a plan that actually works for your situation. We'll cover two main strategies, and you can pick the one that feels realistic for you. Sorry about that. Let me turn that off. Okay, so my goal is that you leave this class with a simple plan that you can start this week, something you can do in real life, even with a busy schedule and tight income. So you don't need to remember everything. You just need to remember one or two actions that you can take. We're looking for progress. We're not looking for perfection. A couple of quick notes about how this will work. If you're comfortable, you can participate in the chat. But if you're not, you don't have to share personal details. You can use general numbers if you want to, or just answer with words like rent, credit cards, or groceries. If you're listening quietly, that's fine too. Whatever you're comfortable with. If you're listening in a clubhouse and you want to pause and chat about this with the people who are there, please feel free to do that as well. Okay, thank you again for being here. Let's jump in. All right, we're going to talk about one of the most important parts of money, smart money. Building an emergency fund even when you feel broke. I want to start by saying something that might surprise you. An emergency fund is not a luxury. It's not something only rich people do. It's even on a tight budget, it is something that everyone should strive to do. It's actually one of the most powerful tools for people living paycheck to paycheck because it protects you from the thing that that keeps most people stuck, and that's surprises. Okay, when you don't have a buffer, every surprise becomes a crisis. A flat tire or other mechanical problems for your vehicle seems to be a big expense. You might have to miss work. If your child is sick, it could turn into lost hours. And then debt grows. Prescription turns, put that on your credit card, your debt gets bigger, and the next month gets harder. So emergency fund, excuse me, an emergency fund, sorry. Okay, so the emergency fund is like a small wall between you and chaos. It's not a perfect wall, it's just enough to slow the damage. Yes, I see the typo. We will fix that later. Um, okay, so let's talk about what would count as an emergency fund. So let's define this clearly because this is where people get stuck. An emergency fund is for something that is unexpected, it's a necessary expense, and would cause a real problem if you don't handle it, if you don't take care of it. For example, uh, a car repair that you need to get to work, a medical copay or a prescription, a broken phone that's needed for work, or other things because you're a parent or because you are a child supporting an aging parent, a utility shutoff notice, uh, any surprise school fees or something really needed for school. If you had to travel for a family emergency or you had a short reduction in your work hours, these are things that you would use an emergency fund for so that you did not have to go into debt. What is not an emergency fund? Okay, these are things that are planned or optional, even if they're important. These are birthdays and holidays, back to school shopping, routine oil changes. Those should eventually be in a different category called sinking funds, but don't worry about that right now. That's just saving little by little for known expenses. So when you have an oil change, you might save a little bit each month toward the oil change that's going to happen every, I don't know how often you need to change your oil, 4 to 6 months. But today we're going to focus just on emergencies. Okay, before we move on, let's do a quick check-in. If you're comfortable, drop in the chat an emergency you have experienced before. Uh, you can keep it general, like a car repair, medical expenses, utilities. No pressure to share, but listening quietly is totally fine. Or if you're in a clubhouse watching and you want to pause right here and chat about that, we'll just take a second to do that. Okay, so here's the mindset. Emergency money is boring on purpose. It's not for fun. It's just for peace. You're not saving for a vacation. You're not saving for something enjoyable to do, like a concert or going somewhere to like a theme park, whatever it is. Emergency fund is for emergencies that things you must pay for. So why is the first goal not 5,000? Well, uh, a lot of financial advice will say 3 to 6 months of expenses. And yes, that is a great long-term goal. But if you're thinking, I can't even save $50 and you hear save 6 months worth of expenses, that can feel really impossible. And when something feels impossible, people will often stop trying. So today, we're going to use a different approach. We're going to build an emergency fund in levels. Small goals first, wins first. Okay, so the 3 levels of emergency funds are level 1 is a $250 starter buffer. This is the stop the bleeding level. This handles small emergencies so that they don't become debt. It's not a lot, but it's enough for many common problems. A tire patch, it may even pay for a new tire, a copay for the doctor, a late fee that you might avoid by making a payment for your credit card, a utility reconnection fee you prevent, basic groceries during a rough week. If you lose hours, it's hard to buy the groceries that you need. This is not for dining out. This is not for special things that are optional. These are for things that would really not put you into debt. Okay, so level 2 is $500 to $1,000. Now, this is where life starts to feel different. This handles bigger emergencies without panic. This level can cover a bigger car repair, short income gap, a medical expense that doesn't turn into months of stress. This is all this budgeting and financial literacy, all these programs we're looking to reduce stress and prevent long-term debt, which produces stress. Okay, level 3 would be 1 month of expenses. Not 6 months, just 1 month. 1 month is powerful because it creates breathing room and it gives you options. It helps you avoid panic decisions. Um, it helps you avoid rushed and stressful decisions. This gives you time and space to look at your situation. So if you're thinking, I can't do this, I want you to just focus on the first step. Start exactly where you are. If it feels overwhelming, that's okay. You don't have to do everything. All of these classes are to take one step at a time. So level one, let's go back, is $250. That's the goal for now. And we'll build from there. So next question, where do you keep this emergency fund? You want it to be safe, separate from your other money, and easy enough to access in an emergency, but not so easy that you spend it by accident. And the best option for most people is a separate savings account, even if it's at the same bank. The key is separation. Um, excuse me. If your emergency money is in the same account as your spending money, it tends to disappear. Okay, if you can't open a separate savings account right now, here are some alternatives. A second checking account labeled emergency, a prepaid card that is used only for emergencies, a cash envelope in a safe place, only if it won't get borrowed. And we've talked about that in our other budgeting classes. The envelope system is great unless there are lots of people in the house that might rob from Peter to pay Paul. We used to use an envelope system when I was growing up, and I was always yelling at mom, I need $5 more for gas, and I'm going to take it from this envelope over here. Didn't work very well. So, whatever method you choose, I recommend one important thing, label it. Literally put a name on it, emergency fund or do not touch. Your brain treats labeled money differently. So you really want to not only label it, but think of it that way. This is money you don't touch unless you have an emergency. Okay, so you're broke. How are you going to save? So now we get to the real part. If you feel like there's no extra money, you're not alone in that. Many people are working very hard and still don't have margin or a gap. And so what we're going to talk about is a realistic way to start saving that doesn't require a big lifestyle change. Uh, and here are 5 methods that will work even when money is tight. So you just need to pick one and try it. It doesn't mean you're going to have to do it this way for forever. So method number 1 is a $5 per week plan. This is simplest. You save $5 a week. That's about 70 cents a day. And in 1 year, $5 a week is about $260. And that means you've hit level 1. If you can do $10 a week, that's $520 a year. I want you to hear this. Consistency beats intensity. Saving a little consistently is more powerful than saving a lot once and then stopping. If you can save a lot consistently, great, but consistency will beat intensity. Okay, method number 2, save first, not last. This is important. Most people try to save whatever is left at the end of the month. But if money is tight, there's usually nothing left. So instead, do the opposite. Save first, right when you get paid, even if it's small. Maybe it's $10 from every paycheck or $5 like we talked about. Maybe it's $2. If the amount is less important than the habit, start the habit. If you can automate it, that's great. If not, a reminder on your phone works. And we talked about this in one of the other classes about automating a direct deposit into your savings account from your paycheck. That sometimes with your HR department or whoever is doing the payroll with the people you work for, they can split off some of your pay into 2 different accounts. And that's a great way to do this. Okay, method 3 is the found money method. This is money you didn't expect. Maybe you got cashback rewards on your credit card or a small refund, excuse me, Did you work some overtime or get some tips that you weren't expecting? Uh, Tax refund money or gift money, anything like that. The key is to decide ahead of time. A portion of found money goes into the emergency fund. Even 10% helps. So look, any of those found money, start thinking about those things differently. Okay, for example, let's say you get a $300 tax refund and you put $50 into your emergency fund. That is a huge step forward. Not all of it, just some of it. Could you put half of it, which is a huge amount of money towards your goal? And then method number four, this is a no spend swap. This is not about never spending. It's about swapping one thing. Pick one small spending habit you can reduce for 1 week. Is it one fast food meal or one convenience store run? Is it a subscription? Maybe Netflix or Amazon Prime? Is it one app purchase or one delivery fee? You'll know you're spending better than I will. And so is there one thing you could swap out? And whatever you would have spent, move it to the emergency fund. It's not about deprivation, it's about redirecting money to reduce your stress later. Okay. And method number five is the roundup or change method. If you have a bank account, or I'm sorry, if you have a bank app that rounds up purchases and saves the change, use it. If not, do it manually. Every time you spend, move $1 into your savings. Or once a day, move your loose change into a jar. And then take that jar to the bank, maybe at the end of the week or the end of the month. It's is it huge? No, but it adds up and it builds identity. I'm someone who saves. You're changing your mentality with these things. Um, Change your mentality over emergency fund is not something you spend for things that are not emergencies, and tell yourself, I'm someone who saves. Start practicing things that you're someone who shaves. Sorry, saves. You may shave also, but okay, so let's do a quick activity. Um, Pick one plan you want to try for the next 2 weeks. You don't have to say how much money or anything. You might want to say, I want to save money each week, or you want to save first on each of your paydays. Which one of these do you think you might want to try? You want to put that in the chat, or you want to talk about it? You can pause this and talk about it with people that you're watching with. And you may not be watching in a clubhouse. You may be watching with other people in your home. And so may want to chat about it. And you can say, my emergency fund plan is blank. Perfect. The goal here is not choosing the best plan. The goal here is choosing the plan you'll actually do. And so that doesn't mean that the first time you try one of the plans that you discover that it doesn't work for you, then try something else. There is no best plan. There's only the plan that you'll do. Same thing with exercise. There's no best way to exercise. The best exercise for you is the exercise that you'll actually do. Okay, now let's talk about the part people forget. You can build an emergency fund, but if you don't protect it, it will disappear. So set some rules. Rule number one, define what an emergency is before it happens. Because in the moment, everything will feel urgent. Rule number two, use the fund to prevent bigger damage. Sometimes spending $50 now prevents a $200 plan problem later. That's what this is for. You want to protect yourself from greater damage later. And rule number three is refill it after you use it. This is important. The goal isn't to never use your emergency fund. The goal is to use it and then rebuild it. Here's a simple refill method. After an emergency, go back to the smallest habit. If that's $5 a week, great. And then do your habit until you get back to 250. Sorry, I'm having a problem with, oh, there we go. So what if you had debt? Should you save or should you pay debt first? Well, this is a common question, and the answer is both. So, but in the right order. So you want to if you have high interest debt, yes, you want to pay that down. But if you have zero savings, an emergency fund will send you right back into debt. So the best strategy for most households is to save a small starter emergency fund first. We talked about the 250, and then focus more on debt payoff while still having a tiny amount. So build towards $500 or $1,000 after you have started paying down that high interest debt. Think of this like a seatbelt. Well, my buttons are not working well. Sorry about that. Well, pause for a second. There we go. Okay, you're going to think of savings like a seatbelt. First, you put on the seatbelt and then you drive. So, how do you find money to save when you're already stretched? Now, I want to give you a few specific leak check ideas. These are not about blaming anyone, these are about spotting places where money sneaks out. And so these are overdraft fees or late fees or ATM fees. If you can eliminate some of your fees, that's instant savings. Subscriptions like apps or delivery memberships, canceling one might free up $10 to $20. That's a big deal. So convenience spending, uh, like small daily purchases, because they're not bad, but because they add up fast. Okay, so here's a simple challenge. Uh, don't try to cut everything. Cut one thing. Just cut one. Some of this is overlap with our budgeting conversations, but I want you to just try one thing. Make one step forward. Okay, so make it easier and remove some friction. Savings fails when it requires willpower every time. So here's some ways to remove some friction. You could automate transfers if possible. Automate automatically putting money into your savings account so that you don't have to do it manually. It's done automatically and you don't see it. Separate the account so you don't see it daily. And rename it with a purpose. Could be your peace fund or car repairs, your buffer, or keep me stable or keep me sane. Uh, Emergencies only. You could name it whatever will help you to know that can help your brain. When you name it, your brain sees that as protection, not extra money. Okay, now small amounts are not pointless. Uh, I want to end this section just by addressing a thought a lot of people have. If I can only save $5, what is the point? Well, the point is $5 saved is $5 you won't have to borrow later. And savings is a skill, and skill grows with practice. And you're not just saving $5, you're going to save $5 again and again and again. Also, emergencies don't always cost $1,000. Sometimes your emergency is $30. And if you have $30 saved, you could avoid using a credit card, avoid the interest that will accrue, avoid the stress, and you stay in control. So today, your emergency fund is not about being rich. It's about being safer. It's about having some control over the chaos that will come because emergencies always come. They do for everyone. No one is exempt. Okay, all right, we're going to talk next about debt payoff. So once you have even a small buffer, a small emergency fund, you can start attacking debt with more confidence, and you are less likely to backslide when life happens. So we're going to build the confidence with the emergency fund, and then we're going to tackle the debt now that we have a little bit of a buffer. So before we move on, let's take a few seconds and think. What is your emergency fund goal? Your first goal, our recommendation was 250, but you may think, well, I can make 500. So what's going to be your goal? You don't have to put it in the chat and you don't have to share that, but you, in your mind, think about that. What do you want your goal to be? It doesn't have to be either of those numbers. It could be a different number. And what is the first action that you'll take? So think about that. And let's take a moment and write that down on a piece of paper or type it in your phone, put it on a device so that you can go back and look at it. That maybe you want to set up a savings account and you will take that one step this week. Or you want to automate $5 per week. Some of these things take effort. If you have to set up a savings account, you can usually do that online, but it takes effort to get that done. If you want to automate having $5 taken out of your paycheck, that takes effort. You've got to contact somebody for that. Maybe you want to label, you already have a savings account and you want to label it emergency fund. Contact your bank. Choose one savings method. Cancel one thing. Move found money into your savings account. Just do one thing. Or do two things if you think you can handle it. Don't overwhelm yourself because you want to get started. All right, now we're going to talk about paying off debt. And I want to start with something important. If you have debt, it doesn't mean that you're irresponsible. Most people have debt because of real life, because of medical bills, because the loss of their job, or maybe you're helping family. If you've had rent increases or car repairs, or simply just not earning enough to cover your basic needs, debt is often a survival tool. Once it's there, it can become a trap though, because it steals your future money. Credit card interest is really high and it steals what you're going to make in the future. Okay, so today we're going to focus on two goals. Number one, stop the bleeding so that your debt doesn't grow faster. And number two, pick a payoff strategy that you can actually stick with. This section is not about doing everything perfectly. None of this is. It's about making a plan that will lower your stress and move you forward. We just want some forward progress. Okay, so number one, stop the bleeding. So first, we want to stabilize. When people try to pay off debt, and they often jump straight into, how am I going to pay it all off? But the first step is not paying off fast. The first step is stopping the damage, meaning stopping the fees, stopping new debt, and making sure that your basic bills stay stable. We want to stabilize. We don't want to add debt, and we want that stability to happen before the speed. Okay, know what you owe. You do not need a spreadsheet. You just need a list on a piece of paper or on your phone. However you keep track things, you want to know who you owe, credit cards, loans. And loans would be maybe a student loan or a car loan or other paycheck loan. Uh, Medical bills, if you owe a hospital, if you owe any collection agencies, and what are the minimum payments? What are they asking for? What are the due dates? And what's the balance, if you know it? And what is the interest rate? If you don't know that, skip it. Uh, Even if you don't know everything, write what you do know. The goal is to create clarity. Okay, so, let me go back. If we can take a minute, I think this is something you're going to need to do on your own. So you might want to write this down. If you're in a clubhouse, you might want to pause it. So you want to know who you owe, the minimum payment, the due date, the balance. If you know it, that's the total balance that you owe, uh, and the interest rate. Okay, protect the basics first. Your first priority is stability. And so we're going to talk about these are five walls, but previously we talked about the four walls, which is housing, shelter, your utilities, basic food, transportation. And so, but in addition to that, you might also need childcare for work. That would also be a first priority to keep your life stable. These are the things that are really not optional. If debt payment if debt payments are so high that you can't cover your basics, you may need to adjust the plan. You cannot pay off debt if you're constantly in crisis. Stability comes first. And so you may want to look at our other budgeting classes and reevaluate some things. So pay minimums when you can. When possible, you want to aim to pay the minimum on every debt while you build your plan. Why? Well, because missed payments also lead to late fees, penalty interest rates, uh, collections, and extra stress. A lot of phone calls, people chasing you, not literally, hopefully. If you truly can't pay a minimum, prioritize, but don't freeze. Um, if you can pay minimums, that's the first stop to bleeding move. And so if you can't, we need to reevaluate. One step four of this is stop adding new debt. As much as humanly possible, stop adding new debt. This is hard because sometimes you're using a credit card to survive, but we want to reduce the habit of new charges while you're paying. Okay, so here are some realistic ways to do that. Take your card out of your wallet and keep it at home. Remove saved cards from online shopping or delivery apps. Freeze your card, literally. Put it in ice or put it away. You can stick that card in a glass of ice and put that in your freezer, and it will be hard to get to. Uh, Use the cash for just a few categories temporarily. Um, so this is not about never using your credit card again. It's about giving your space to build a new pattern. So it's evaluating the convenience of just putting it on a charge card and creating problems. Okay, so we want to reduce the money leaks that make debt worse. So plug the leaks. Some costs quietly push people deeper into debt. Overdraft fees, late fees, subscriptions, payday loans, advance apps, high bank fees and ATM fees. If you can eliminate even one fee, that money becomes debt payoff money. So for example, if overdraft fees cost you $70 a month, stopping overdrafts is like giving yourself $70. If a late payment of your rent causes you to have to pay a fee, paying that rent on time saves you money. I know you know this, but some of this is about really prioritizing things. In part two, choose your money strategy. Now let's talk strategy a little bit. Two main methods, a snowball versus avalanche. The best one is the one you're going to stick with. It's like all of this. Your best strategy is the one that you will do. So debt snowball means you take the smallest balance first and tackle it. You pay the minimums on everything and you put extra money towards your smallest balance. And when the smallest is paid off, roll that payment into the next smallest. So let me go over that again. You keep paying minimums on all of your debt and you put extra money towards your very smallest balance. But when that is paid off, you roll that minimum payment from that one that's gone into the next smallest debt. Why does this work? You get quick wins. You feel that progress and encouragement faster. This will build motivation and confidence. So a snowball is great for people who feel overwhelmed and need the momentum. And then there's the debt avalanche. Then you tackle the highest first. With the avalanche, you pay your minimums on everything. Still, you put the extra money towards the debt with the highest interest rate. So that way you're that highest interest rate is the one that's taking the most of your money from future. So you put that extra money towards the debt with the highest rate, and when that is paid off, you move to the next highest interest rate. Okay, why does this work? It saves you the most money over time. It reduces your interest costs faster. And so this is great if you have high interest credit cards and you just like this math, the best math answer. Technically, this is the best way to go, but sometimes you need that momentum by paying off the smallest first. So what do you pick? Both work. If you're stressed and you need that hope, pick the snowball method. If you're really focused, you've worked on your budget, you've really nailed some things down, and you want to save the most money, pick the avalanche method. If you're not sure and you're confused, go with snowball. It's the best plan uh, if you don't know what to do because it will give you that momentum and that encouragement. Okay, so let's do a quick activity. Well, and you may want to do this activity later. You want to look at your debt list. You can take a screenshot of this. Um, take your list of debts. You may want to write these on a piece of paper. So if everything is online, you may just want to make a paper list and circle your smallest balance and your highest interest so that you know what they are. Then decide what your extra amount is. So you have your small emergency fund. So you're going to move that money, maybe $10 to $25 per month. That counts. More if you can. Because here's what the truth is. It's not the amount that changes your life at first. It's the direction. It's the decision to do something. So maybe you want to put in the chat, snowball or avalanche. Don't put any details. Or maybe you want to chat with the people around you. You can pause this and then maybe you want to say, I'm going to do this first, or I'm going to do that first, or I don't know yet, but this is what I think I might do. Okay, so make it easier and set up a simple monthly system. Paying off debt is hard. These are hard things. Don't think that, we're just chatting about this and it's so easy. We're making a plan for hard things. And so we want to make your system doable. You want to focus on a simple monthly setup that's not super dependent on willpower. You're going to need the willpower. You have to cut things out in order to pay off debt. But you want to have more automatic progress. So align your due dates with your payday. One of the biggest reasons people miss payments is timing. So if bills hit before your payday, you're forced into late fees or borrowing. You can usually ask your lender or credit card company to change your due date. So call them, get online. A lot of this can happen online. You won't have to wait on hold. Can I change my due date? Can I move it to the 5th or the 15th? Can you split your payment into two smaller payments? That's a great question to ask. A simple due date change can reduce your stress, and so consider that. Use your auto pay carefully. Auto pay is super helpful, and it can also cause overdrafts if your bank balance is low. So I love auto pay, but only if your bank balance can handle it, because you don't want to pay overdraft fees because of your auto pay. A safer approach is auto pay the minimum only, and that's if you have the room for it, and then make your extra payment manually when you get paid. Use your reminders, calendar alerts from your phone, payday reminder of pay extra on target debt. Text yourself or a reminder on payday. Your phone will set some of this up automatically. I mean, you have to tell it to, but it will send you these repetitively. Or if you keep a paper calendar, write these on red. Make this extra payment. Okay, so this is the one extra payment rule. If you don't have much extra, use this rule. If you get any found money, any refund, any cashback, any overtime, put a portion just a portion towards your target debt. Even $20 towards your principal is real progress. And so make your minimum, but put any of your found money towards your payment. Okay, so what about collections, medical debt, and payday loans? Let's talk about hard stuff because many people have more than just credit card debt. Um, so these are very common. Uh, if you needed to stretch and maybe you didn't have any credit on your credit card, you might have a payday loan. Um, you may have outstanding collections that are different than what's on your current credit card. What do you do? Oh, sorry about that. Um, so don't ignore your collections, but don't panic. Ask for details in writing. Who was the original creditor? What's the original amount? And what's the proof the debt is yours? That takes effort. Um, can you negotiate? Start low and ask what they can offer. Will they negotiate with you? Important. Different situations apply depending on your state, the age of your debt. So be cautious and consider maybe some free nonprofit counseling if needed. We'll do some research, and before we have this class again, we will um, try to provide some of those to you. Okay, so I'm going to pause right here. Let's see where we are. Well, let me go through these. I'm going to go through these. We'll catch up on these. This is getting a little bit too long. Um, okay, so let's tackle this real quickly. Cash advance apps or payday loans, they're dangerous because they can create a cycle. If you are stuck in a payday loan, prioritize breaking the cycle. Oops. Well, that's just backwards. Interesting. Ask them about extended payment plans. Some lenders do offer them. Um, and build a small buffer so you're not forced to reborrow. That's that emergency fund planning. Part of the plan is to get out of a cycle of this debt. Uh, Repeat use of advance apps equals debt. It needs a payoff plan too. So that may need a separate plan. Okay, so what do you do if you can't pay everything? If you truly cannot afford minimums on all debts, focus on housing and utilities, transportation, so that you can earn your income, food, and then debt. So these, again, the four walls: housing, utilities, transportation, and food. Then get to your debt. Then call your creditors and saying, I'm having a hardship month. What options do I have? Can somebody offer you reduced interest payments or a temporary pause or a hardship program? You do not have to explain your whole life story, but you do want to look for options. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. Um, we're running out of time and I have a lot more slides. And so we're probably going to have to break this into an extra class. Let me see if I can get to a point. Let me go through these real quickly. Um, so let's get towards the end. Sorry about this. We're going to have to break this up and we'll have probably two classes for this going forward. Um, and we're gonna, okay, so let's see. Well, that won't let me move forward. I apologize for this. There we go. That's okay. So let's wrap up. Uh, Pick your two moves. Uh, if you, well, that may be covering the previous. Apologies. Okay. So you've shown up today. Take a deep breath and congratulate yourself. Recognize that this is real stress. Obviously, there's a lot to this, and we're covering it at a pretty fast pace. One of the things is to encourage you to do something. Don't do nothing. This can be stressful, but do one thing. Do one thing this week and do one thing next week. Uh, Today, we've talked about your money snapshots so that you know what's coming in and what must go out. We want you to start the emergency fund to protect you from surprises. A debt payoff strategy that you can stick with. That's the snowball or the avalanche. But we didn't cover a couple of level up habits to free up some money and reduce your stress. So we will separate that out and do that in the future. So I want you to go and make a simple 7-day action plan. Uh, Something realistic, not perfect, but each day is small on purpose. If you miss a day, don't quit. Just pick it back up. So do one small step each day. And maybe you're just going to do one small step on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But don't quit. Just keep on going. So I am not going to finish this right here. We'll we'll have to do a better wrap up next time. Uh, and let's see, we're going to wrap it up. Okay, so we're fixing to go. Just choose one thing you're going to do in the next 24 hours. This is part of the plan. Type it in your notes, or you could put it in the chat, although we're fixing to close this meeting. But remember that progress is better than perfection. A small emergency fund and a simple debt plan can change your entire year. So I want to thank you for coming so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we look forward to our next class with you.